Rome, so the saying goes, wasn't built in a day, but 24 hours in the new SimCity is enough time to achieve a shining example of civilization. Progress and change are inevitable, but this more streamlined track to success gives the game a different feel that's not without its compromises. With strong similarities to earlier releases and obvious new inspirations from social gaming, SimCity's long-awaited return performs a delicate juggling act with innovation, tradition, and accessibility, resulting in a remarkable game that opens the door for a wider range of players, but risks alienating longtime fans. It certainly makes a good first impression. Thanks to a level of detail provided by the Glassbox engine, cities have never looked better, and the subdued but memorable soundtrack manages to lend emotional weight to the down and dirty business of city planning. In the first few hours of play, it's easy to appreciate the way it hides the statistical complexity of the original behind an intuitive user interface, and small little details like the way power lines go up as you lay down your roads allow development to move at a greater pace than ever before. Elsewhere, there's a human element that reveals itself in every detail of the gameplay, such as the way you add parking lots for more patrol cars at the police station in a shady district, rather than merely pumping money into it. That's good news for players experiencing the famed city-building franchise for the first time, although veteran players might find themselves missing some of the extra complexity from old franchise standbys, such as terraforming. Decisions like this mark a noticeable shift in SimCity's approach. In the past, SimCity was largely a game of maps and figures. Now an option to zoom in on your populace to observe their daily lives reveals the incorporation of elements from The Sims. The ability to drill down to the micro level is sometimes breathtaking and often pretty useful. By following a commuter from his household to his workplace, you might get an idea of how to fix a traffic problem. At other times, individual Sims will speak up to let you know they have no water or power, which may or may not be true since there's some evidence of possible bugs in the release build. The new SimCity might be accessible, but it presents new challenges in the form of specializations that allow you to customize your city's economy and distinguish it from others. It's a smart move, both for variety and replayability, and the decision to limit the reserves of some resources, such as oil or coal, forces you to prepare for the inevitable crisis when the wells dry up or the mines are picked clean. For instance, with wise planning, you can safely transition an oil-based city into a casino-driven hip tourist mecca, with only a few grumbles from the populace. Much of SimCity's challenge lies in situations like this, and it marks a massive and welcome step toward realism that was largely absent in previous releases. If only the cities weren't so small. Gone are the metropolises that mimicked the sprawl of Los Angeles or Chicago. In their place, Maxis has given us 2-kilometer plots that leave each city feeling more like a neighborhood or a business district rather than a city in itself. It seems workable at first, but as your first city grows and you realize the need for larger spaces to suit most major projects and avenues, you may find yourself destroying massive structures just to widen a road. It even makes the new option to build curved highways seem excessive for anything aside from tracing coastlines, as the tiny plots discourage anything other than prosaic, gridded designs, even on the flattest maps. It helps to know that there is a reason for the claustrophobia. For one, it helps with the simming of the individual Sims, and for another, the new SimCity isn't really designed to be a single-player game. Here, you're expected to design your city with up to 15 of your region's neighboring cities in mind for the purpose of sharing and selling resources with other players. The true focus is thus on the regions, and not on individual cities. That's a tall order for a franchise that's always been known for its single-player play, but to the game's credit, you can play on a private server if you're not too keen on depending on other players for essentials like power. On one hand, this forced cooperation can seem like a hassle, particularly if you don't know the mayors who share your region. It's especially problematic when they're poor communicators, as you could find your city in chaos if another mayor in your region bulldozes a power plant you've been relying on without telling you. On the other hand, having a dedicated group of friends playing allows for the construction of great works such as spaceports, and if their cities are doing well, your own city will benefit. In its best moments, the concept serves as a reminder that no real city is an island, and with the right group of friends, SimCity's multiplayer component can be immensely rewarding. Yet, regardless of whether you play on a private or a public server, you'll find yourself subject to the quirks of SimCity's required online connection. It's bad enough that the launch week has been plagued with server overloads, but the idea of a persistent world also does away with the ability to save your work and load a file with better circumstances in the case of a mishap. There's a commendable dose of realism inherent in this move, but it's debilitating when catastrophes such as meteor strikes and zombie invasions wreak havoc on all the work you've accomplished in your hours of civic toil. In situations like these, fortunately, the option to acquire bonds to aid in the recovery is a blessing, and used properly, they can get your town back on its feet. There are hardships and there are triumphs, but one thing is clear. This is a new and different SimCity, one influenced by its predecessors but designed with a new audience in mind. Aside from some issues with its online requirements, bugs, and restrictions on city size, it's still a satisfying and addicting simulator that will grant dozens of hours of entertainment with one well-designed city alone. It's best played with friends, but there's still plenty of fun in store for those who go it alone. And the work Maxis has done here proves that the beloved franchise can still hold its own in a gaming world vastly different from its first appearance in 1989.